However, after all I've said of the lethargic council over the last couple of months, a number of councillors have said that they're going to set up surgeries, or even out in the open. One is being held in the Market Tower, Market Street in Lewes, to explain the plan to anybody who cares to go and ask questions. So if you don't know what it's all about, try and find from your local councillor. His number is on the internet or in the phone book. Ask where they're going to hold some of these surgeries, as they call them, and explain what this neighbourhood plan is all about. It's quite an important vote, because we have to live with it for the next dozen or so years, and who knows what's going to happen in that time. But undoubtedly there will be some things that will upset various groups in our society, and I suppose eventually we have to come to a consensus. But let's make sure that it is a consensus, and this isn't something that's rammed through by either vested interests or a council which, with all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, a bit out of touch with the man in the street. But then again, you're no different to most politicians. Most politicians now, I'm afraid, are out of touch with the man in the street. So, where do we go from here? Well, let's have a look at one of the things that I sent around via Facebook and YouTube and other social media on the weekend, and that is that I was fascinated where this term cabinet, who started the term cabinet, and why do we have cabinets instead of the All-Star committees? Well, it started in 2000 with the Local Government Act, and essentially this is where Tony Blair and a new broom decided that it would be better to have cabinets. I personally challenge the cabinet system. I think that it allows for a lot of power in the hands of a small number of people, and throughout the country it is reported that local councillors, after going through the process of being elected and going onto the council, feel that they are disenfranchised from playing a really serious part in local governance once they are a member of the council, because the cabinet, which is formed by the biggest party, makes a lot of the decisions, and even then it isn't even the biggest party that makes the decisions, it's just a few people within that party. So democracy is stripped bare. But other people will say, well, you know, if you have a whole bunch of people getting in on the act, that can be inefficient. Well, yeah, it can. I agree, but it can also be unrepresentative. And just a few people making the decisions, it is bound to lead to people making decisions which suit them, not us, not the voter. So I favour the fact that we should have a non-cabinet system. I always laughed at the fact that the cabinet, anyway. Cabinet. I mean, I was asking who came up with such a stupid term as cabinet. It turned out to be Tony Blair. Not everybody's favourite nowadays, even though he has a 3-term prime minister. So now we know who termed it cabinet, and his idea of democracy sometimes bears examination. The other thing is that councillors have for a long time been told that expansion saves money, and now there are a number of studies that are coming out that say no, it doesn't. You can expand all you want, but it changes the nature of the way that we're governed and takes away, first of all, local democracy, which has always been the foundation of the British governments, is that we all, at some level or another, have a very direct say. Well, expansion has taken that away, but it also has not created efficient government. And there are some councils that already have taken the opportunity, because they can revert to the old system of committees, which is far from great. But it's a bit like Winston Churchill said about democracy. It's far from perfect, but it's the best that we've got. And I tend to think that should be remembered at the local level. Yeah, council democracy is never going to be perfect, but it is the best that we've got. When all councillors, when all those of us who want to be part of some form of governance, whether it's just doing what we're doing, and that is acting as a watchdog and being critical, is we all want to be part of it. And so I think that the cabinet system should be changed. It has been changed. I understand, and I have to check this out because I've only seen it from one source. And it was over the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to check it out properly. But I understand that Brighton and Hove have gone back to the old committee system. They don't have a cabinet anymore. So we've got something on our doorstep that we can take a look at and see how it's working. If you know people in Hove, ask them. Because we've got an election coming up on May the 5th. May the 2nd. I keep on saying May the 5th. May the 2nd. And it's an opportunity for you to say to your local candidates, which system do you prefer? But in asking that question, make sure that you know which system you prefer so that you can see whether they're going to reflect your view or perhaps a view of others who will not think that the cabinet system should be abandoned. It is interesting. I had about 200 responses over the weekend to a little note that I put out about cabinet, chair, governance, and it overwhelmingly was critical of the cabinet system. It wasn't very, very happy with the councillors that we have, although there was some defence of some councillors saying, they're very hard-working, and indeed some councillors are hard-working, and those councillors really should have a bigger say. That's the point. Nobody is accusing councillors of not working hard, but if you work hard without being able to put the results of your hard work within the council remit, because there is a cabinet that is making all the decisions, is what's the point of working hard? Yes, I'm not being critical of all councillors, and in fact, I'm not being critical at all. Yes, I am. Collectively, I am. Collectively, I think the system stinks. But the point really is that does it work on our behalf? Never mind about whether they're good councillors, bad councillors, or whatever. Does it work on our behalf? And that's really one of the things that we need to ask ourselves. All right, let's play another little music, shall we? Let's. Oh, I know what we'll do. Because we've been through such a bad storm overnight, what we'll do is let's just remember what we were doing this time a month ago. We were just recovering from well, we were, I promise you. There. we were well, do you remember that season, the season of goodwill, and dear old Santa Claus? You know, I'm told, and on reasonably good authority, there are some people that don't believe in Santa Claus. I just can't believe it. I can't believe that anybody could ignore such a fine chap who brings all those wonderful things on Christmas morning, leaves eggnog with brandy in it for me to drink. How can anybody not believe in Santa Claus? Anyway, back to perhaps some more serious stuff, and a wistful look back to Christmas. It's 28 minutes past 6. We end at a little after 6:30 because we're always a little slow getting up from the television studio up to the radio studio, and we allow for that just a couple of minutes. We did in record time this morning. We did about 2.5 minutes, but then had a false start by hitting the wrong button. Ah well. Never mind. These things are sent to try us. Okay. Just a recap of what we talked about this morning. Bit bad storm overnight. Be careful. The wind seems to have dropped now. I'm looking out through the window and I can see that the trees aren't swishing in the breeze. I think I can see that everything is seems to be calm and okay. But that there were trees down around Barkham for one, and I'm sure that there have been trees down over the roads in other places. I got up at about 3 o'clock this morning and the storm was howling. It really was howling. And in parts it's been up to 90 miles an hour, 6 inches of snow, traffic chaos, flooding. Not necessarily that bad across East Sussex, but nonetheless, a heavy storm like that, and it was heavy, is bound to have some effect on travel this morning. So watch out if you're going on the train, plane, or road. There's bound to be some knockback somewhere along the line. So just check before you travel, as they say. Worry in Britain really about stabbings. A young lady talking to her friends in the park, and a man comes up and stabs her in the back. We haven't got all the details yet, but from the initial reports, it sounds as if the two of them didn't know one another, that she was just a victim. But stabbing's on the increase, and it's been a concern for almost a year now, perhaps even more than that. So isn't it time that we started to look at perhaps being a bit more fierce with those who wield a knife? The Lewes Neighbourhood Plan referendum on Thursday, which reminds me, because I travel a lot, I got a postal vote. I'm told I got a postal vote, but I haven't actually seen the package yet, so I better check down at the council to make sure that I can vote, although it just so happens I may be here on Thursday, so whether I can swap my postal vote for a regular vote, I have no idea, but at least I might give it a try. I don't want to miss voting. And there are some councillors out of the hard-working councillors who are setting up surgeries this week across the town, across the district, so that we know what we're voting for the next 10 to 15 years. Because it is a long-term strategic plan. And I'm all for long-term strategic plans, as long as you get them right at the beginning. Because strategic plans are difficult to alter once you're down the road. Right, it's 6:31, and we've been going for 29 minutes, so I'm going to say toodle pip, see you tomorrow morning. First of all, at 5:45 on Mirador Television, and then here on Rouser Radio at 6 o'clock to 6:30. Let's find the where we actually say goodbye, because it's one of our favourites, and I can't find it this morning. Oh, dear me. Dearie, dearie me.